Hello everybody, good morning, good evening, and good afternoon. You know the drill. It's really good for you to join in today, day number 12 of 31 in the dive into Proverbs. A key thing, I guess, is that if you're on a journey and you want to go somewhere in life, the first thing that you pull out is a map. And the reason you get the map is because the map will give you direction so that you can get to your destination. The goal is to always get to the destination. And so as we look on and reflect on the book of this book of Proverbs, what it does is that it gives us a blueprint on how to live our best life. It gives a blueprint on how to live our best life. It tells us about the things that God likes and the things that God dislikes. And I think that when we begin to understand what he likes or dislikes, it helps us steer away from the things that he doesn't like and steer us towards the things that he does like. And when we steer towards the things that he does like, that then gives a blueprint for us to be able to succeed in our lives. The key thing, and I know that we're not necessarily going through all the verses because that would take forever because there's a lot to unpack. But yesterday we had to do it I did it in two videos, in two videos. And the reason being, or in two parts, was because I really wanted there was a lot that I thought I could unpack that was beneficial for myself. And I thought you could get it from my opinion, or just my takeaways, and hopefully those would have helped you. What I would like you to do or ask is that if you could please write some comments and tell me whatever chapter we're going through, what are some of the verses that you like, because that way it becomes a dialogue rather than just being a monologue, because I'm really interested to know what it is that you're gaining out of the scriptures, and that can also help me as well. And so Proverbs chapter 12, straight into verse number 1, it says, "To learn you must love discipline. It's stupid to hate correction." Right off the bat, we have to love discipline. And it's stupid to hate correction. These are not my words. These are Solomon's words. And so they're in the Bible because they're in the Bible. So they're not my words. But what they're teaching us, and I'll give you an analogy. When we go to watch, whether it's a play, a movie, we go to watch a game of basketball, rugby, AFL, whatever it is, I think that what we are actually paying for, yes, it's the spectacle that we're experiencing, but it's actually the discipline that these people have embodied, because it takes a lot of discipline for them to get to, whether it's the Olympics, to get onto whatever professional sport it is. We love to see people that are perhaps in much better shape than us, have got better skill than us. But it's the discipline. And I think the key thing that we can take away is that whilst it's good to stand on a stage, while it's good to be participating in a game, the real difference is in loving the daily grind, the practicing, the preparation. And that's what I think we have to always focus on, is that if we're going to be those that would live the best lives, we are the best version of ourselves, then I think we have to be those that are in love with the process of preparation. We don't just want to arrive, we want to, and we grin and we are not happy throughout the journey, but we are happy through the preparation as well, even though it's not going to be easy, but that is actually part of the process. So discipline is really the key thing if you are going to be somebody that learns and somebody that moves ahead in life. These scriptures, they're telling us the do's and the don'ts for those that are wise and not wise. But I just want to focus in on Proverbs 12 from verse 12 to 23, and I'll read them. It says, "Thieves are jealous of each other's loot, but the godly are well rooted and bear their own fruit. The wicked are trapped by their own words, but the godly escape such trouble. Wise words bring many benefits, and hard work brings rewards. Fools think their own way is right, but the wise listen to others. A fool is quick-tempered, but a wise person stays calm when insulted. An honest witness tells the truth, a false witness tells lies. Some people make cutting remarks, but the words of the wise bring healing. Truthful words stand the test of time, but lies are soon exposed. Deceitful hearts Deceit fills hearts that are plotting evil. Joy fills the hearts that are planning peace. No harm comes to the godly, but the wicked have their fill of trouble. The Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in those who tell the truth. The wise don't make a show of their knowledge, but fools broadcast their foolishness. If we were just to read out chapter number 12, verse 22, the Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in those who tell the truth. That's it right there. That is the secret. This is what the Lord likes. He doesn't like people that lie. He loves people that tell the truth. And so these perhaps 11 or so scriptures are a reference to speech. Those who lie put themselves at risk. Their own deceit eventually contradicts itself and they'll be caught. Now, growing up, I would tell lies, and the reason I'll tell lies is because I don't want to get into trouble. So the problem, though, that I recognized and I realized was that, man, it's so much easier to tell the truth because I deal with the consequences once. But if I keep telling lies, the problem with telling lies is that I have to keep remembering. I have to keep remembering the sequence of lies that I told. Because now, the more you tell a lie, the more you got to cover up, and the more you got to remember the lie that you told. That's way too difficult. So I recognized that it was so much easier to tell the truth. Plus, my father did not like people who lied. If you wanted to cross him, be a person that lies, and that would be the end. He just did not like people who lied. And so that was a good thing. I think that builds your character up. So the other key thing is that those who patiently hold their tongue, waiting to speak until they have something useful and helpful to say, are wise. And those, I guess, who don't do that, they just blurt or blab everything that comes out of their mouth, end up hurting other people and damaging their own reputation in the process. Now, I've been told several times by those close to me is that, did you really have to say that? Why didn't you just keep quiet and not say it? Or what is the other word? The other thing they say is, if you don't have anything good to say, don't say it. And I just can't help myself. I just want to say it the way that I feel to say it. But the problem with doing that is that you're going to damage your relationships, and we don't want to be those that do that. I guess the key thing, one thing that a friend of mine once said, when you do things that damage other people, or when you don't love correction. We were in a Connect group when I was living in Port Hedland, and one guy in the Connect group says something had come up where, some observation, and then I said my piece. And one of the guys turned to me and says, do you know that you're very cynical? And I retorted back in an arrogant kind of way, yeah, other people have told me about it. But as I said it, in an arrogance, because who the heck are you to flip and tell me that? Don't tell me what to do. I'll tell you what to do. Anyway, the key thing from that was that when I went away and I reflected on what he said, that really, really messed me up, because I recognized that's not the posture that I want. I didn't feel that was the person that I was, and I didn't want to be seen as portraying that. Not that I would be pretending, but that wasn't my posture. And so I think from that moment I became more mindful about the things I said, because I know that it could do great damage. I didn't want people to sort of like say, oh, that guy over there, he's a cynical ass. So I didn't say ass, I said cynical ass. And that's the key thing, when we are not mindful about the things that we're saying, and we just say things, it will cause and it will injure and hurt other people. So we don't want to do that. So the Lord detests lying lips, but he delights in those who tell the truth. In business, for those of you in business, if you sign a contract, you're probably going to have to be bound. You're bound by the terms of the contract. This tells me a few things. Like we learned earlier in probably Proverbs number 5 or 6, that be careful about making surety or being a guarantor for somebody else's debt. Because if that person defaults, then you have the obligations. Now, of course, if you have the resources and you're able to meet that obligation, and sometimes it's not just financial. This is where I need you to understand. Sometimes it's not about a financial resource that you're guaranteeing. Sometimes it's when you guarantee that this person. And then when that person goes and gets into a deal with somebody else, and then that goes left, your friend is going to come back to you and say, look, what's up with your boy or girl? Look what, you know what I mean? They took me to the cleaners. So this is why it's very important that we know people, understand their characters, but most importantly, we do our proper due diligence so that we don't get ourselves into trouble. We make sure we know the people that we're partnering with. If it smells fishy, probably it's a fish. So the key thing is that don't jump into those deals. If it feels like it's a get-rich-quick scheme, you know what it is? It probably is. Don't get into it. So be very mindful and take your time to look through the deals. And I can't stress this enough, because I have seen with my own two eyes how when people get into partnerships and how when things go left, things go really left. And it's a carcass of broken relationship, broken families, and that's not a good thing. And then lastly, personally, if you're a liar, I guess maybe I'll put it this way, more positive. Let your yes be yes and your no be no. Be known as a man or a woman of your word. So let your yes be yes and your no be no. And so again, this is just from there's a whole lot of other things that this scripture says, but I think that's enough for me to sort of work through. I'll be interested to know what some of your key takeaways from these scriptures are, and just send me a comment and say, I got a lot out of this particular verse. And so and then I guess iron sharpens iron, and then we can all become wise and become so much better at living our best life. And so thank you again for joining in, and peace until day 13. Yeah.